Ever just wish, like you could talk to someone who's gone, maybe snap a quick pic with them just to prove they were really there?
If only it were that easy, right?
Right. But that's kind of the hope and the kind of creepy vibe behind this whole spirit photography thing. Taking pictures of ghosts. Or at least that's what folks claim to be doing way back when.
It's more than just spooky pictures, though. Think about it. This was the 1800s. Photography itself was brand new tech, and people were trying to wrap their heads around it.
Totally. Like, imagine seeing a photo for the first time and be like magic, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Way to freeze time, to hold on to people and places, and then plop that right in the middle of the aftermath of the Civil War.
So much loss, so much grief.
Exactly. People were desperate for connection, for any sign that their loved ones were still out there somewhere.
And that's where our guy, William Mumler, steps in. He's the self-made spirit photographer we're diving into today.
Mumler's a fascinating character. Started as an engraver, nothing too spooky about that. But then, the story goes, he's developing a self-portrait one day.
Hit me with it.
And bam, there's this faint figure next to him on the plate. Turns out it looked a lot like his dead cousin.
Okay, see, now that's either one heck of a coincidence
or a very clever marketing ploy. To this day, no one's quite sure.
I'm going with spooky coincidence for now. Keeps things interesting. But hold on, back up a sec. How does this even happen, like photographically speaking?
So it was most likely a double exposure.
Yeah.
Basically, two images getting layered on top of each other during the developing process.
So kind of an accident.
Could have been. But accidental or not, this double exposure launched Mumler's career.
Yeah.
He became the guy to see if you wanted a portrait with a side of dearly departed. And business, let me tell you, was booming.
Because who wouldn't want a picture with a loved one who's passed, even if it cost a pretty penny? But I gotta imagine not everyone was buying it, right?
You're right. Skepticism was in the air, and one of the loudest voices shouting fraud belonged to, well, P.T. Barnum.
Wait, P.T. Barnum, as in the circus guy?
The one and only. And he was not just a showman. The man had a nose for sniffing out a hoax. He saw right through Mumler's act, thought it was disgraceful preying on grieving families.
Which, you gotta admit, is kind of rich coming from the king of humbug himself, right?
Oh, for sure. But that's what makes this whole story so fascinating. You've got these huge personalities, new technology, and everyone trying to figure out what's real and what's a good old-fashioned con.
Sounds like a recipe for one heck of a deep dive.
Yeah.
And trust me, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We'll be right back after a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so we've got Barnum, the OG showman, calling out Mumler's spirit photography as a sham. But Barnum, he wasn't just going to sit back and grumble about it, was he?
Oh, absolutely not. Barnum was a man of action. So he decided, you know what, I'll expose this whole charade myself.
And how'd he go about that? I mean, did he, hire a ghostbuster or something?
Well, not quite. He actually hired a photographer, a skilled one, to recreate those spirit photos.
Uh-huh. So he was like, I'll show you how it's done, folks. Nothing supernatural here.
Precisely. He wanted to demonstrate how easily these ghostly effects could be achieved using simple photography tricks.
Yeah.
Double exposures, hidden assistance, you name it. He even went as far as publishing a how-to guide on making your own spirit photographs.
Wow. Talk about throwing shade. But did any of this actually make a dent in Mumler's business? Because, people love a good mystery, even if they suspect it might be staged.
You'd think it would hurt, right? But here's the thing. The more skeptical people became, the more some folks dug in their heels, determined to believe.
It's like that old saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Maybe controversy just sells, especially when you're dealing with the afterlife. But this wasn't just a war of words between Barnum and Mumler, was it? This whole thing blew up even bigger, didn't it?
It sure did. Imagine this. 1869, a packed courtroom, the air thick with anticipation. William Mumler is on trial for fraud.
Whoa, hold on. Actual fraud charges. This just went from spooky to serious legal drama.
Oh, absolutely. This wasn't just about taking photos. It was about accusations of exploiting people's grief, their vulnerability for profit.
That's a whole different ballgame. So you've got Barnum, the showman, ready to testify, I assume.
Front and center, I'd imagine, ready to present his case, armed with all the tricks of the trade. But on the other side, you have people who genuinely believed in Mumler's work. They claimed they recognized their loved ones in those ghostly images, insisted they felt a connection.
Man, that jury had a tough one. On one hand, you've got cold, hard evidence. On the other, you've got people pouring their hearts out saying, this photo is proof my loved one is still out there. Who are you going to believe?
Right. It was a clash between logic and emotion, science and faith. A real head-scratcher for everyone involved. So, what happened? Did the judge see through the spectral haze?
You gotta tell me, did they convict him?
In a surprising turn of events, the jury found William Mumler not guilty of fraud.
What? Not guilty, but how? The evidence, Barnum's testimony, it seemed like a slam dunk.
Right. But it seems the prosecution, despite their best efforts, couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mumler intended to deceive anyone. The judge, when delivering the verdict, basically said, look, his methods might be questionable, but we can't say for sure he set out to intentionally defraud people.
Wow. So Mumler walks free. Case closed, right?
Well, the legal battle might be over, but the controversy surrounding spirit photography was far from settled.
Okay, so Mumler, he's off the hook, legally speaking at least. But something tells me the spirit photography craze, it didn't just disappear overnight, did it?
Not a chance. If anything, it seemed like Mumler's trial just threw more fuel on the fire. And word got around. Pretty soon, spirit photographers were popping up everywhere, like mushrooms after a rainstorm.
Speaking of popping up, you mentioned some other big names in the spirit photography game. What about that guy, Hudson, was it? The one with the gimmicked cameras? That still kind of freaks me out.
Ah, yes, Frederick Hudson. Now, there was a showman who knew how to keep his secrets. He made a name for himself in England, claiming his camera could capture what no one else could.
But he never actually explained how those cameras worked. Come on, spill the tea. Were there, like, hidden compartments for ghosts or something?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? He took those secrets to the grave. Some say he used mirrors to create ghostly reflections. Others whispered about trapdoors and hidden assistants.
Talk about a recipe for a haunted darkroom. But honestly, part of me wonders, did people even care how it was done? Maybe they just wanted to believe, even if it meant suspending their disbelief for a little while.
I think you're onto something. It was an era of mystery and spiritualism, and let's face it, a good dose of showmanship.
Right. It's like going to a magic show. You know there's a trick, but that doesn't stop you from enjoying the illusion. But didn't you say one of these spirit photographers got a little too creative with his methods? Something about dolls.
Oh, you're thinking of Edouard Bouguer. Now, he was a character, traveled back and forth between France and England, passing off his particular brand of spirit photography.
And his brand involved children's toys.
Let's just say his methods were a little less than convincing. Turns out, Bouguer's spirits were actually dolls, dressed up in their ghostly best.
Dolls? You're kidding. I mean, come on. If you're going to fake a ghost, at least put some effort into it.
I know, right? Not exactly the most convincing apparitions. But Bouguer's little scheme unraveled pretty quickly, and he became a cautionary tale in the world of spirit photography. Proof that not all those who claim to capture the afterlife were created equal.
Some were better at faking it than others, I guess. But even with all these exposés, all these revealed secrets, spirit photography, it doesn't go away. It's like it had this strange staying power.
It absolutely did. And it found a new champion, in a way, with a man named William Hope.
William Hope. Okay, that name is definitely ringing a bell.
He was the mastermind behind the Crew Circle, a group of spiritualists who believed they could photograph spirits.
Okay, the Crew Circle. Got it. But wasn't there something about William Hope, like a connection to someone super famous?
You're probably thinking of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes. He was a believer in Hope's work.
Wait, Sherlock Holmes himself bought into this? Now that's a twist. You'd think he'd be the first one to whip out a magnifying glass and debunk the whole thing.
It seems even the most logical minds can be captivated by the allure of the unknown. However, not everyone was convinced. A researcher and magician named Harry Price suspected that Hope's methods were less than supernatural.
A magician exposing well, I guess another magician. Kind of love that.
Yeah.
So how'd he do it? Did he pull a rabbit out of a hat to prove Hope was a fake?
Not quite. Price was clever. He used his knowledge of stage magic and illusion to devise a plan. He marked some photographic plates, the ones used back then, and gave them to Hope.
Okay, I'm guessing those marked plates were the smoking gun.
Exactly. When the photos were developed, it was clear that Hope had switched out the plates, creating the illusion of spirits appearing out of thin air. The jig was up.
Busted. Case closed, thanks to little stage magic know-how. But here's the thing that gets me even after Hope was exposed. Some people, they still clung to their belief in him.
It's true. It seems some people, they needed to hold on to that hope, that connection to something beyond our understanding. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It really does, because even today, with all our fancy cameras and smartphones, people still capture those strange images, those unexplained anomalies. Whether it's blurry orbs or weird shadows, we're still searching for answers in the dark corners of photographs.
We can analyze the techniques, debunk the tricks, but there's still that lingering question. What if there's something more, something we haven't quite grasped yet?
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it all. So the next time you see a strange photo, don't just dismiss it as fake or photoshopped. Take a closer look. Ask yourself, what if? What if there's more to this world than meets the eye? What if some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved? That's all the time we have for today, but trust us, the conversation doesn't end here. Join us next time as we dive into another corner of the unknown.